Well, good morning and welcome to the Underhood Show. My name's Josh Prophet. I'm the service director here at Mel Hambelton Ford. Alongside me this morning, can't spit that out. Sorry.
Hey, it's all right.
Alongside me this morning is Scotty Gurman. Good morning, Scotty.
Good morning.
How are things going for you this morning?
Absolutely amazing. I'm here with you.
Well, there we go. Couldn't be better, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Phil had a funeral that he had to attend this morning, so with him through that situation. I know you had one here this last weekend.
I did.
Stuff like that. So, but it is the last show
of the year
of 2023. Man, this year has absolutely flown by. Cannot believe how fast it went. We get in here and get going and things are going, seems like 900 miles an hour all the time. And
yeah.
It definitely makes for a lot of interesting situations for sure. But then also, it just, the months just go by. That's for darn sure.
That's right.
But it is the last show of 2023. For sure. I hope everybody had a great Christmas and safe travels through the holiday. Keep that up as we approach this weekend for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The weather is stuck around and been pretty reasonable for travel.
Not too bad.
Things like that. Fuel prices are a lot lower than what they have been.
Yeah.
For sure. And so hopefully everybody's been able to travel where they needed to go and get there when they needed to get there. It didn't have any mechanical breakdown or anything like that. But hey, this is a call-in show. 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here. And let's talk anything automotive. So this is really your show. So if there's something that you want to discuss, how something works, new products, check engine light, your car's acting a little weird or odd, give us a call. Again, 316-462-3673. Again, get it. We've got agenda, but then people, you can call in and put us in the ditch.
That's right.
We can try and get back on track, or we can stay in the ditch, or whatever we need to do. But 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here, and let's talk anything automotive. For each and every caller that calls in, we also send them a package for calling in. It's the only show I know that you get paid to call in on, but it consists of the works, which is an oil change and tire rotation. We use Motorcraft oil and filter products here at Mel Hambelton Ford. While we're performing that, we're also going to complete a multi-point inspection on your vehicle, checking over the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components, making sure that vehicle is ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. You'll also receive yourself $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us at the Big Corner. Complete nitrogen for your tires, so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer. And then a BG products package, which consists of a can of CF5 for your fuel system, and MOA, which is motor oil additive for your engine oil. Again, just getting that vehicle geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. So let's get the phones ringing, 316-462-3673. So, Scotty, I know you got a list that you wanted to, or wrote down there a list that you wanted to go over. But I want to put it out there for the callers or people that are calling in. We're going to give away the works package today, but then also on top of that, for the first caller that wants to call in, it is a new year. We're going to talk about, talk about things new.
Okay.
So whether it's a New Year's resolution that you want to make in automotive, so something that you could do better for your individual vehicle to help take care of it. So a new resolution from that, or if you don't have anything there, let's talk about your first new car purchase.
Okay.
Whether it was a new car or just first new to you car. So your very first car purchase, what it was, how it went. Did you end up liking the car? Was it your best friend? Was it your worst enemy? So we'll put that out on the table.
Okay.
So for the first caller that wants to call in, and talk about that. In addition to the package that we're going to give away, we're going to give them a $50 gift card that they could use. They can use it in the racing shop. They could use it for service if they need additional service work, or if they want to come in and buy a Traxxas remote control car, they can use it for that. You want window tinting, you can use it for that.
Yeah,
like the list just goes on and on. So, and again, that's going to go out to the first caller.
perfect.
So, but again, it is the last show of 2023, and so we're going to talk about new things for the new year.
Yep.
How about that?
That sounds good to me.
And then, in addition, while we're getting that going, in light for me, I think the easiest thing, or the thing that I am most focused on when it comes to automotive maintenance and I guess automotive maintenance and just general service is got to be the oil change.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
I don't know. I've talked about it a million times on this show, but it's just natural instinct for me when I hop in a vehicle to look up at the oil change sticker and to see where the odometer is.
You're better at it than I am. Yeah,
and
you are.
It drives me nuts. From a staff standpoint, if everybody is not like that, for one, just because consumers just generally do not pay attention to it.
You're right, and I think we depend on them sometimes whenever we hop in and they don't mention it. But you're exactly right, because that is probably the most bare essential thing that you have as a responsibility to take care of your vehicle is to change the oil.
And it's not here's my thing with it, like looking at that sticker and then looking at the odometer, like the vehicle's not going to stop running.
Yeah,
it's not going to. It's it's going to go. It's going to continue to go. But also for longevity, for protecting your investment, for not ending up on the side of the road. And so then I correlate that with, okay, I mean, I can't even tell you how many vehicles that I get in that they've completely removed the sticker.
Oh yeah,
like it's not even there.
Yep.
And that just blows me away.
Yep.
Like what are you what are you thinking? So I don't know if you have a thought on that. Maybe you don't like the way it looks. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's an eyesore or something like that. But then I think, think about all the different repair facilities that are out there, all the different automotive, oil change spots that are out there. And how does a consumer know where to choose to do business?
Yeah.
What are they basing that decision off of?
Probably quite a few things, I would guess. I think you and I probably have a difference of opinion as far as why we choose certain places. But my favorite thing in the world is whenever Phil talks about going to some particular place and it's dead.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to go there.
So I've got we've got a caller coming through, but I have a situation or a scenario that I got involved with this week, talking to an individual about this specific thing.
Yeah.
About choosing a service facility and kind of the experience that they had and stuff like that. We'll get this caller patch through, and then we'll go ahead and we'll talk about that as well. But it's that oil change sticker and the maintenance interval, to me, it's so important.
Oh yeah.
But it's not just about the oil change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it starts there, but there's so much more value that can be added to that as well. So we'll get this caller patched in here, and we'll see what they got to talk about for the new year, and what's going on with them.
I want to hear first cars.
First cars.
That's the good one.
Think so?
I think so. That's the stuff that I like.
Is the first vehicle.
Yep.
Let's see. Well, come on now. So, Greg, we're trying to get you patched through here to see what you have going on. But again, 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us and talk about anything automotive that you want to talk about, or if you also want to talk about we're down to the last show of the year. It is a new year, so the challenge was talking about New Year's resolution that you may have that is automotive related, or if you wanted to talk about first new vehicle experience. So whether it's a brand new vehicle or whether it's just a new to you vehicle, those will work. So let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Greg. Greg, you're on live with Under the Hood. Good morning.
Yes. Well, my very first car was a 71 Ford Torino GT fastback.
Nice.
71.
And
That's awesome.
And so it was brand new.
brand new,
Okay.
and it was a fun car. I only had it 2 years and traded off for a Charger SE with a 400 Magnum. It was a fun car.
Yeah, you got rid of one fun car for another fun car. So let's
Yeah.
so let's talk about that experience. So in 71, did you go to a specific dealership because they had the car, or was it something that you were going there to purchase a vehicle anyways?
I grew up in a small town out in the country near a small town in western Kansas, and I ordered it from Ralph Baird
Okay.
in Kinsley, Kansas back then.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with Kinsley. So
Same.
you you ordered it from that dealership.
Right.
Would you happen at all to remember how long you waited for it?
No, it wasn't too long.
Yeah.
I'd say, it wasn't not more than 6 weeks.
Really? Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty good. And so your expectations when you ordered it versus when you got the car, did it meet every expectation that you had?
It met or exceeded.
Yeah.
That's
It
good.
had the 351 back then, 4-barrel, and it did fine.
And then previous to that, what was the closest to new vehicle that you had?
I guess in college I drove I guess it was only about 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
5 years probably. But it really was a hand-me-down for my folks to go to college with. This is my first car.
That was your first interest for sure.
Right.
Right. Well, very good. Yeah, that's when you get to go through that process and pick out what color you want, and the interior that you want, and stuff like that. There's something definitely to be said about that. That this is what I wanted. That shows a statement. So you had it for about 2 years. In that 2 years time frame, did you do anything to it as far as like add any accessories or wheels or anything along those lines?
Only thing is I put an 8-track in it back then.
Heck yeah, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's very cool. So, and then had it about 2 years. Remember just roughly how many miles you had on it in that time?
It had about 40,000.
Oh wow!
And it sat for 13 weeks when I was shipped out of town on business, and it sat in a parking lot. So it sat out of that 2 years. It sat a quarter.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you it definitely you didn't let any grass grow under it.
No.
At all. And so got rid of it about 2 years later. What'd you get rid of it for?
Well, I wanted that new Dodge Charger with the 400 Magnum, and I bought it in Kinsley too. I ordered it from Fravel Motors back then. And he turned around and sold it to my first cousin.
Oh yeah.
He had it till he wrecked it.
Oh,
he had it till he wrecked it, totaled it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very, very good. I wonder if that 8-track, the 8-track stay in it the whole time?
The first one got stolen.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
In broad daylight in Wichita there.
Wow.
And then I put another one in, and it went with the car when I traded it off. Yeah.
So it got stolen while you had it?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I just think of somebody carrying across an 8-track in the mall parking lot right now.
For sure.
That is that's crazy. So, well, very good. Thank you very much for the story. It's always fun to it's amazing to me how many stories can be related to something automotive.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's a new car or it's just can be both a very exciting time in somebody's life, and then also can be
very bad.
A very bad experience in somebody's life when you talk about automotive stories like that.
For sure.
Greg, thank you very much for the call. We'll add that $50 gift card onto your package as well. And like I said, that'll be good for any additional services or anything that you need to get taken care of while you're here with
Okey-doke.
us. So,
Thank
yep, you have a very safe and happy New Year. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All
Same
right.
to you.
Thanks. Bye. Yeah, very cool. Very cool story.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like I said, it just totally amazes me how stories can be related to automotive or and again, that can be both good and bad stories.
Yeah.
For sure. How much trouble can be drummed up around automotive as well. I think that's talking with techs or interviewing new techs into the industry. It's always they get into it because it's a passion.
Sure.
It's a passion or a desire to be around it, and then everybody thinks, okay, I got this car. Well, now I want to go fast. Or racing is always kind of a driver into the automotive field side of things. And I always say, racing was never a thing until the second vehicle was made. Then racing became a thing.
Yeah.
For sure. So it's always a horse. There was never a horse
Yeah.
race until there was another horse around.
Right.
Or something along those lines.
But what was yours?
What was my first new vehicle was a Silverado pickup.
Yeah.
It was a 2003 Silverado pickup. So that was first brand new one.
What was your actual first car? That's what I want to know.
So in high school, and then high school I had 5 cars. Yeah. And so the very first initial one was a Buick Regal. It was a 1980 Buick Regal.
That's a boat.
2-door. 2-door Regal, and it was fast.
Yeah.
It was really fast. Of course, now I wouldn't even begin to guess. It probably had 500 horsepower, maybe something like that. Back then you kind of had something if you had that. Now,
sure.
500 horsepower, we're putting that out and
lawnmowers.
Yeah. in anything, for sure. And so, but the first new vehicle would have been that Silverado pickup, and had it for several years and really enjoyed it. And it did a lot of, everybody needs a pickup or has a pickup, and then everybody that doesn't have a pickup knows somebody that has a pickup. And so
I hate being that guy sometimes. You are the guy that gets called when somebody's moving.
You get involved in a lot of things.
Yeah,
and if you're lucky, then you can just donate your pickup to the cause.
Oh,
and
yeah.
not actually physically be involved in moving something. But that's definitely a truck thing for sure.
Oh yeah.
So
I got a 1998 Ford Ranger was my very first truck.
yeah.
And it was stick shift, but it was the one that had the step side on the bed.
Okay, the flare side.
Yeah, the flare side, and that was the coolest truck. I missed that truck so very much. I haven't seen
brand new.
It wasn't brand new.
Yeah,
it was just
new
my
to you.
it was just my first
Gotcha.
truck. But yeah, that was a good truck. And then I got my very first brand new vehicle I bought from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, very good.
Because I'm young.
So, I wanted to go back and kind of recap what we were talking about initially, and that is just the works.
Yeah.
The general works on being able to maintain or take care of your vehicle. And I guess express, how important that is, or how important that service is, but not only just completing that service, but I guess where you're completing it, but then what else is being done in that interval. And like I said, before we took the call, had the opportunity to speak with a gentleman this week, and this was outside of anything here. We're just, I was making conversation. I was actually at another place of business. And I happened to see a gentleman. We were in the parking lot. He gets out of his truck, and like the whole driver's side of his truck is just smashed in. I mean, from the front bumper all the way down to the rear bumper. And, just in conversation, I was like, man, that must have been an exciting ride. There was surely a story to tell behind all this physical damage on the side of this truck. And so we went along and was talking kind of about what happened. Well, he had ended up in a median on Interstate 70.
Oh,
And then I'm thinking, okay, well, there's got to be more to the
details.
stories. What's going on? And so he had said that he was going down the road and he had a wheel bearing that had failed on him.
Oh,
And he essentially kind of lost control of the vehicle and it running into the guardrail.
oh.
Now, luckily, absolutely nobody else was hurt or anything like that. And so, in curiosity fashion, I'm like, okay, kind of give me the sequence of events. And, he's telling me that it had happened. The truck had quite a few miles on it. It was around like 170,000 miles. So
Okay.
a pretty substantial amount of miles. Well, then I went into the story or the asking, some more questions about, well, how about like when was the last time it was serviced? And he says, well, that's kind of the odd thing is that I just had it in about 400 miles previous to this happening to be serviced. And I was like, oh, okay, well, where'd you take it or whatever? And I won't name the company, but it was one of the drive-through oil spots.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so, and I said, oh, well, what's your experience with that? And he says, oh man, they're great. They get me in and out. And I'm, he says, I wasn't even there 15 minutes.
That's a red flag.
And in my mind, I'm just in awe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like in 15 minutes, what can be done in 15 minutes? Like, did they change his oil? Yeah, they changed his oil, but that is it. Like he says, I go there, I pull in, I drive over a pit. Like I don't even see a guy there's somebody down below. I don't even see him, don't even know what they're doing. But he says, I stayed
in the vehicle
the entire time. Completely. They never lifted the truck off the ground. They never got the tires off to rotate it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing against this place of business, but as a consumer doing something like that versus a true works service with a multi-point inspection and everything like that. And as a consumer, I mean, I guess I get it. I understand that. Okay, you're looking for convenience. You're looking for the least amount of time out of your day from that side. But you have to understand that there's value in that.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot missed by doing a service that way. And believe it or not, before I came to Mel Hambelton, I actually worked at a facility that was very similar to that. And there's a lot of things that you can miss with doing services like that, just because, like you said, not picking up the vehicle and a lot of vehicles anymore, 15 minutes to drain all the oil out of it. That doesn't happen. You're not getting everything out.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things like that are just giant red flags to me that,
that's part of being in the industry though.
Sure.
So to a normal consumer, like how do you convey that to a normal consumer of what they're after? And where I guess I'm going with that is it's our job to build the value in what we do every day. And I think a lot of times, and naturally so, just being busy and like we were talking about earlier in the show, is that this year is just blown by. Well, if you're not conveying those details and what is all being done, you lose that value.
Oh, for sure.
To the customer. And so it's important to be able to tell them what they're getting in a work service. And
absolutely.
So, I mean, I think of just right out of the gate for us on a work service, there's more things that happen in your part of that operation than going anywhere else. And what are some of those details that happen in that work service that you can think of right off the top of your head that a customer is probably not getting in a situation similar to what this gentleman was receiving?
I mean, everything that they check is viable. I mean, we have actually parts of our invoice that specify like tires, batteries, brakes
Mhm.
on all of our invoices, that they were checked and whether they passed or failed, just to basically pass on that knowledge to the customer. Now, as an advisor, that's all a responsibility, obviously, if there's something that we found, to obviously relay that information. But that's just 3 things of a multi-point inspection that, no kidding, has, dozens of different things on that inspection that we check that are all safety related items,
Yeah.
and the measurements of the brakes and things like that as well.
Well, and we'll get into the multi-point here, a little bit further down the road here, but I'm even pre-check-in.
Oh, just like an inspection, walking around the vehicle?
Yeah. So a customer pulls in the drive, right off the bat, I'm thinking, okay, well, an alignment check,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
For every customer that comes through the door, like, we're doing a basic alignment check on your vehicle without you even knowing it. I mean, you drive through the doors and the machines are set up right there and capturing that data. Now, how valuable is that?
I mean, that's basically $100 value if you look at it, but yeah.
And so I'm not even saying putting a value on it as far as what
that's a very safety related item.
That's what I'm after. Is the safety aspect of it. And then, when was the last, I'm sure you priced a set of tires yesterday.
Yeah, I did.
What was the dollar figure for 4 tires mounted and balanced? And
they're getting a little expensive nowadays.
I mean, you can almost, I would say the average cost is probably $800.
They're getting closer to $1,000. You're touching that mark right about now.
Which, I mean, there's not many people that would say, okay, if you walked up to them tomorrow and said, hey, I got to have $1,000, like, yeah, there's people that could do it, but that's a pain point.
Oh yeah,
for sure. And so to be able to plan that out and know, a year down the road of, hey, okay, probably 6 months, then 3 months, then, as that gets closer, you can prepare for it.
And then on top of that, we're getting ready to get into weather where you got ice and snow. And so if you're talking about like tires and tread depths and things like that, just to be able to check that is obviously crucial as well. And we do that walking around the vehicle.
The other side of tires is run into a situation just the other day. We at times we'll do DOT inspections, and repair or work on trailers. And trailers is one of the things, I mean, and there's a lot of vehicles like that too, that they do a lot of sitting.
Oh yeah.
Especially, somebody has a high performance vehicle or something that doesn't get drove a lot. That's just their church vehicle. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
DOT, the date or the age of a tire is a huge thing too. Dry rotting or cracking is not as common as it used to be, but it's definitely still prevalent.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah. And so just a good physical inspection on that tire to make sure that it is roadworthy, that it's going to be okay. And like you said, this time of year with inclement weather, you want to have everything to the best of your ability, for sure. And so on that works basic service, we're driving in, we're checking the alignment, we're doing a walk around on the vehicle, looking at wiper blades. That's how many people need wiper blades, but then don't remember it or forget about it until it rains
or snows.
And then you're traveling, you're going somewhere, you need them now, and you don't have them. And then by the next time you can do anything about it, you've forgot about it again, because it's Kansas and that only happens every so often, for sure. So that's another huge one.
Oh yeah.
The battery.
Yep.
What's the state of the battery?
That's another big one. I mean, especially whenever it always seems that batteries decide to die in the worst possible scenarios. And it's always when it's freezing cold outside and you're trying to get to work in the morning. You just dusted off all of the ice and stuff that accumulated overnight, and you go into the vehicle and try to start it up and click, not a thing. And so just with the basic getting the vehicle serviced, we can actually use a tester and see what the overall health of that battery is. And that can definitely be a lifesaver in a situation to where you need to get to where you need to go. And we understand that. Just don't put it off to the last minute kind of thing. But that's definitely one thing that we always check.
Yeah. So Now we'll move away from the multi-point inspection. I want to get back to that more on the technician side, but what's something else that you guys just at Write Up are looking for?
Well, what do you mean? Like,
so how about open campaigns or recalls?
Oh yeah, big time. That's a good one. Yeah. Check it every single vehicle that comes in. If it's a Ford vehicle, we can pull up any open campaigns on vehicles, like warranty extensions and or recalls. And that's pretty easy, but that's like something that we don't even think about anymore. Sorry, you drew me on a blank because it's so automatic.
Well, my thing though is that how are we at conveying that to the customer that we're even doing that?
We're even doing that?
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at that.
You see, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just something that in our mind, okay, we do it every day, so it's just part of this process. Well, that 15-minute oil spot, no way that happened. Like, there's no way that happened. Nor did anybody there care.
For sure. Yeah, no, you're right. 15 minutes. There's no way that they're checking that stuff.
And so, okay, conveying that to a customer of this is important and this is why.
Yeah.
Now let's say they have 4 or 5 recalls. Well, a recall is a safety item.
Yeah,
like, that is something that now I will agree with with some people that there are some things that they recall. It's like, okay, come on, guys. Yes, I do believe this needs to be tended to or get done, but this is not a showstopper here, by any means. But then there's a lot of recalls out there that they've been recalled for a reason and have caused a lot of serious issues and problems. And so, yeah, that's definitely something that we do and get addressed for a customer. So
yeah, absolutely. There's definitely recalls that we try to get obviously scheduled, especially if they need to come over to the main dealership and things like that are larger and stuff. But all of them, in my opinion, are pretty serious no matter what. There's a recall out there for a reason, especially if it's a safety recall. Those need to be done.
Well, and in your experience, talking about recalls in general, years ago, I think the manufacturers had a lot wider band of recalls. So in other words, when they had something that was being recalled, it affected way more vehicles. Well, now they've got it dialed down to where the amount of recalls per each individual recall number is a lot fewer.
Right.
And so it's, to a consumer, years ago, the media would come out and say, okay,
they still do it.
Yeah. 98 Ford Explorers have a recall.
Yes.
And everybody that owned a 98 Ford Explorer thought that they had a recall. Well, the number is way fewer, but also I do believe there are a lot more recalls now than what there used to be.
Yeah.
And so for an individual or someone such as yourselves, like, you've got to check it every time. And the likelihood of a vehicle having a recall is probably pretty good, but it doesn't affect a mass number of vehicles generally.
For sure.
And so to be able to keep track of that and understand, what does, what doesn't, the only way to tell is to look. And that's each and every time something you got to do each and every time. So, well, let's go to the phones. We got a caller on the line. So let's go to the phones and talk to Jeremy. Jeremy, you're on live with Under the Hood. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Love watching you guys' show.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, so I have a question. So when it comes to, let's see, hang on here. When it comes to, I put in a new car battery in. It was probably this summer. And the battery terminals keep forming a lot of corrosion. Do you know what would cause that? I wouldn't think a brand new battery would be doing that.
Yeah, it's a great question, Jeremy. What kind of vehicle are we working on?
It's a Ford.
Okay.
Taurus.
Okay, so it's a top post battery, right? Okay. So what's happening there? And I don't know where you got the battery or what manufacturer of battery it is, but basically there is that gas or the acid gas is escaping from the top post and the casing, and that's what's causing that corrosion on that battery. So it is something, I mean, to have a little bit of that happen is natural, but if it's excessive, then there's an issue with the battery. Now, there's two ways to go about that, and again, without looking at it, I wouldn't be able to tell you, kind of which way that is. But BG actually produces a service, and they use there's chemicals that they use to clean up the existing corrosion on that cable. Then there is a sealer that goes on to seal that cable after it's been cleaned. But then another part of that process is they actually have a pad that goes in between the post and the cable, and that's to prevent those gases from getting onto that cable. But if you've cleaned it up a couple of different times or multiple times and it still is occurring or happening, there's probably something going on with that battery that's causing it or making it do that. And I've seen some battery cables that look like literally a chia pet.
Oh yeah,
that just have corrosion everywhere. And where the problem is with that is that corrosion. I mean, as it starts to corrode, it just keeps going, and it will actually get. You're cleaning the terminal, but it'll actually get down inside of the cable where you can't access it or even see that it's happening. One day you'll go out and it just won't want to start.
And
so
not only that, with battery monitors and stuff like that attached to the cables is where they are. It gets a lot more expensive the further down it goes. Not only are you replacing a cable, but a battery monitor as well, and so that's another thing to think about too.
So as part of calling into the show today, Jeremy, you're going to get the multi-point inspection. With that, we can take a look at that battery and the cable and see if it's something that just the simple BG service will take care of or fix that, or if it's something that, hey, there's an issue with the battery. The other side of that is if the battery is leaking like that, eventually it's going to be detrimental enough to the battery that the battery is going to fail you
right
too. So we would need to catch that or look at that too. So
you're telling me it's normal to have a little bit over time, but not like you were saying, like it's excessive.
Yeah, and if it keeps reoccurring too is the other thing. For the most part, that battery is sealed, and again, that's where quality of battery. I'm not saying that you can't buy a quality battery and it be defective, but for the most part, the more quality batteries there, you're going to have the less chance of that happening.
They used to have vents outside of those batteries. Now, and they recycle the casing a lot of the times, and sometimes that vent is still there, but that vent is closed off, so that those gases have to go someplace, and they tend to leak out from the terminals, and that happens more often than not. Yeah. So,
but again, we'll put that multi-point inspection, or that multi-point inspection will be on your package as well, and so we can take a look at that for you and help make the best determination of what the best process would be for you. So, all right.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking my call today, and appreciate the package. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks. You have a good New Year, Jeremy.
Both of you. Same.
Thanks for the call. All right. Well, yeah, that's man, I've seen a lot of corrosion. I cannot tell you the times that I've seen a full chia pet literally growing underneath the battery like that, and I'm thinking, man, how the heck is that thing going to start when it's that cold? For sure.
But yeah, I've seen it multiple times, and then you wonder, it's like, how often is this hood popped up? Do you look underneath the hood ever? Because it just ends up being like it looks like one of those, I don't know, they used to be candy back in like the 70s. It looked like a cone.
Well, that's going to be a no, because I had to go to Quick Trip and get a pop, and then I got back in the vehicle and went on down the road. And
true,
yeah, just so happened to look up and seen that I was 10,000 miles overdue for an oil change.
Yeah,
so that's what brought me here. But again, get it. Everybody's busy and has something going on, but corrosion and like you said, now, I mean, you can't even replace a battery in a vehicle without resetting a couple different modules on it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a matter of just unbolting it and putting it back in.
And it's not at the front of the car anymore.
Well, in some cases you can't even find the battery, so that's a whole nother thing.
Oh, for sure.
So, well, anyways, hey, let's go back to the phone. Let's talk to Dan. Dan, good morning. You're on Live with Under the Hood.
Good morning, Josh. Hey, I have a question for you.
Okay.
This is Dan Wick.
Yep.
How much problems are you guys having with the Ford Escapes? I keep reading videos that they're having transmission problems.
Of transmission problems?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I've seen, several videos, and then my house cleaning lady, she had to have hers replaced.
Had to have the transmission replaced?
Uh-huh.
Man, I honestly, Dan, just the number of units that are out there versus the number of issues that we've had has definitely been pretty minimal, for sure. And that's one thing, man. That internet, that's what drives me crazy like that. Is you get a couple people out there.
I know they've always got something going on, you know.
That put something out there, but I mean, the Escape has really been more of a pretty durable vehicle. I would say they've gotten more probably bad press over the engine than I would say the transmission, for sure.
Well, what kind of warranty did those have on them?
So from the factory, you're going to have 336 bumper to bumper, and then you're going to have a 5-year 60,000 powertrain warranty on the transmission. And so, you know, it would be a pretty substantial warranty for sure. And if there was something going on from the manufacturing standpoint, like, it should really reveal itself within that first 5 years or 60,000 miles of ownership. And then a lot of times, this goes off of what we were talking about earlier in the show. If they've come up and there's deemed to be, I guess, a big problem with something, they'll go through and put an extended coverage on it. I can think of that with the focuses and the DPS6, the clutches assemblies that they have in those. That was a little bit of a issue for those cars. But again, the manufacturer came along and then put a 150,000 mile warranty extension on that. And so if there's something that they've really noticed that there's a large span of it, and they'll go through and do that. But if you're, again, taking that to Joe's lube spot, like, he may not know that that's even a thing, but as to where every time they bring it in, we're able to scan the VIN and see about any extended warranties or coverages or recalls or things like that. So,
and you made a good point as well. Not only, especially if there's something like that has like a transmission problem, they're still all controlled by modules. And I would say majority of the time, if they see an issue, there is normally going to be a software update recall that ends up coming out to reprogram the PCM if they see it being a problem that's going forward. So that's another thing as well. But no, I haven't. Being the service advisor here for going on 12 years, coming up pretty quick, I have not heard of the newer Escapes being any kind of an issue of a transmission at all.
Okay. Well, there's also, of course, you guys don't sell them, but 6.2 and the Chevrolet, my neighbor has a Denali, and his is 70,000 miles, and when the electric came apart, and it destroyed his motor.
There is talking about cam and lifters, that is a huge thing for Chevrolet, for sure. And I don't understand, because that's been going on for many years, and I don't understand. Again, it's common in the industry, but also the number of units that they have out there versus the number of units that have the issue may not be as big of a problem as, I guess, what we see or I hear about. For sure. Again, the internet is really good about giving you. I
think his was a 19, is 60,000 miles, and he ended up they wouldn't cover it, so he ended up just basically trading off the way it was and got very little out of it. Expensive vehicle.
I'm really surprised that
he had a Lexus instead. He said, "I'm not putting that much money in it."
Yeah, I'm really
wanted like $17,000 for a motor for it.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that they did not that they did not have any extended warranty coverage or anything like that for him, for that vehicle for sure. And what surprises me too is that cam and lifter problem has kind of spanned over a couple of different generations of motors
and piston rings too.
So, and going through there, the best thing I can say about that is preventative maintenance is worth a lot.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that it would have changed the outcome entirely, but it certainly couldn't have hurt anything. To do good preventative maintenance on that.
At the Chevrolet garage, I mean, all his maintenance always was done there. And of course, I work on his other vehicles, but he was just totally bummed on that deal.
Yeah, definitely. At 60,000 miles, you would surely think that you wouldn't expect to have that kind of problem. Now, years ago, back when we talked to the gentleman earlier that had a 72, 74 Dodge, like, okay, 60,000 miles, you're 3/4 of the way to done.
That's right.
With that thing. But, in today's vehicles, you put 100,000 miles on it and you're just really getting started, as far as reliability and dependability goes for sure. And, years ago, GM used to have a 100,000 mile powertrain warranty. I think it was about 2012, I think
is that when they cut it off?
Is when they brought it back down to 60,000 miles. So,
yeah, they would do anything for him. And I thought that was just horrible,
It does. Yeah, it does seem
expensive too,
Yeah.
I never did hear what they gave in trade-in, but he said it wasn't very much. That's an expensive vehicle, Denali.
Yeah.
That's an expensive vehicle. They just trash it. I basically.
Very crazy. So Dan, I'll ask you the question that we had earlier in the show. What was your very first brand new vehicle?
My Corvette.
A Corvette.
Corvette.
Okay. Well, that's a good first vehicle.
That's good.
84 Corvette.
84. Okay. Did you order it specifically how you wanted it, or was you showed up and it happened to find you?
Yeah, I went up to Hamilton LaGreca and they had it on the showroom floor, and I bought it there.
Yeah, very good. Well, that's a very good.
That's a good first one.
Good first story. So, how long did you own it for?
Oh, about 3 years.
Back
in my wall days, I drove it.
You drove it like a Corvette.
Though. Yeah. It really held up good for me.
Yeah. And so in 3 years, roughly how many miles do you think you had on that thing?
Probably 25.
Yeah. Very good. What color was it?
It was bronze.
Okay.
Ooh.
A bronze color.
Oh boy.
Yeah, very good.
I like it.
And do you remember what you traded it for?
I can't remember now what I traded it for. I think it was a truck.
Yeah.
Z71 truck.
Well, that's Corvettes, Mustangs, they are fun to drive, and Camaros, all that.
Oh yeah.
Kind of lower sports car deal. They're definitely fun to get in and out of, fun to drive, but man, after a little while of getting in and out of them, being tall and Dan, you can probably relate to that.
It's really cramped.
It's not that bad if you're 5'7".
It doesn't take long.
That Z71 truck was insane. I love that.
Yeah.
I never had any trouble with that thing.
Understand that completely. Well, very good. Well, Dan, thank you very much for the call. Have a very safe and happy new year. Okay.
Yeah. Happy new year, you guys too.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
All righty. Have a good day.
You too.
Well, very good. We were talking about the multi-point inspection, and one of the things that I wanted to bring up was the our version of the multi-point inspection. So I was going to throw this one up here on the screen.
Look at that.
And this is what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, this is on every vehicle, and be able to check over all these items for a customer to know that they're safe and ready to go. When I go back to my visit with this gentleman that I had earlier this week in regards to his wheel bearing going out and the vehicle just being in, about 400 miles previous to that happening, and I don't know, there's no factual information that says that this would have prevented that.
Sure.
But I mean, it was a $20,000 damage on the side of this truck. I mean, it was totaled. It totaled the truck over a wheel bearing.
For sure.
And, I think, okay, man, could that have been different if, if it had went somewhere and they did a thorough multi-point inspection
Right.
and checked over things and found this wheel bearing and replaced it and, not caused this gentleman, and luckily for him, the outcome that he had was really not that bad because, they totaled his truck, but like he walked away.
He was fine.
It didn't involve anybody else. It certainly could have been a much worse situation for sure over a multi-point inspection, or what could have been a multi-point inspection was my view on it completely. And so I, as somebody, I guess, in the industry, it's about choices. And, but then also being in the industry, it reminds me how we have to go above and beyond and convey what is actually happening and where the perceived value is in the service that we provide. And that was something that it just really stood out to me.
Sure.
Because again, it's about convenience, and we got to make it convenient for a customer, but also we can't do this in 15 minutes.
No way.
It's impossible.
No, there's no way.
It can't be done. And so you have to be able to explain that and justify that to the consumer.
I've had that situation before, to where when somebody came in for an oil change and I told them, I was like, well, it'll probably be about an hour. Just that's about how long it takes. And she made that same comment, which is like, I've been to places, where it takes 15, 20 minutes. And I had to basically explain and say, well, that's because they're not doing it correctly. This is what we do, and this is how we do it, and this is how it's done correctly. And then just educating a customer in that situation. I've taken care of her ever since. And that's been kind of one of those things with her that, I was able to convey what it is. Whenever you're servicing a vehicle, it's not just draining the oil and put a new filter on and zip you down the road, because that can be a huge disservice, like what you're talking about with the situation with the guy that you had. And so that's something that, it's very important, especially in our industry. So.
Very, very true. So we'll go through. We got a couple comments here. I neglected the chat, so
I saw that. I was going to say something, but I didn't.
Completely apologize.
Delbert,
running both sides of this.
Happy New Year.
This board. So yes, Happy New Year, Delbert, and good morning to you. And then so Joey says, good point. Wish I would have taken my vehicle in for service work instead of half a in myself. So, and then that's one of the things too that I wanted to talk about is, people doing the service themselves. Like, I'm all about that. Like, I think that's great to be involved in the mechanical side of it, but just if you're going to do it, make sure you're.
Is it even worth it anymore?
Oh, it's like
the oil and the filter and everything. When you get all of that together, it's about the same price as having somebody else do it.
So from a dollar standpoint, no, we've got it. It's set up cost efficiently. Like, you could not go purchase the oil that it needed, the filter, and then by the time you had the oil, the used oil that you had to do something with and stuff like that, like you could. I think it came down to an additional $5 or $10 that you would pay on top of that if you're using the same, Motorcraft oil and filter and stuff like that. 100% not worth it. But there are some people that just want to mechanically be involved, and that's great.
Yeah,
just make sure that we're checking tire pressures, that we're going through checking. And my biggest thing is, in our environment is that when somebody's looking at your vehicle, they've looked at 15 other vehicles that are exactly like yours and know what's
things stick out. Whenever you've looked at 10 of them the exact same and one of them has something that's different than all the others, that's the red flag.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure. So, well, hey, everybody, we're going to wind down here.
I had a whole list, man.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah, we didn't get to it.
We didn't get to any of it.
That's what phone calls will do that.
Yeah, I get that.
Which is fine. I'd rather talk about
I would too.
I'd rather talk about what they want to talk about and hear the stories and everything like that.
For sure.
Too. So, but everybody have a safe and wonderful Happy New Year for sure. Cannot believe that 2003 is just about in the books. from that standpoint.
If you say we'll see you next year, I swear to God.
So I'm not going to say that.
Thank you.
I was told by my son that is the stupidest dad joke there is.
I love your son.
So I will not say that. But
Thank you.
yeah, everybody have a safe and happy new year. I want to thank our sponsors, which is BG Products, all the great preventative maintenance items that we use right here inside Mel Hambelton Ford. Go to Rent if you're looking for a larger vehicle, 12 or 15 passenger van. Give Stan a call right here inside Mel Hambelton Ford. And then Big Corner Creative for all your marketing and advertising needs, race car wraps, window wraps, vehicle wraps, window tinting, conventional and traditional media advertisement. So Big Corner Creative is another great sponsor of ours. So everybody have a safe and happy new year, and we will talk to you next time.